be more than human. Hello and welcome back to the channel. My name is Joseph Carroll. I write under the pen name J.R. Carroll. And today we are here to discuss book marketing and the quality of books. Now, before we jump into that, make sure you like, subscribe, and comment throughout. Once we get into this, I want to hear your opinions on this. This is very important. I'd like to kind of see what everybody thinks about book marketing and quality and certain authors that I'm going to bring up, and I would like to get your opinions on that. And check out the Patreon. And so without further ado, let's get into the video, and we'll try not to take too long here for you. All right, so this video came about because I've been reading two authors specifically, one over the past couple months and then one just recently. And then I had a video, a other book reviewer did a video that I watched, and so it just really kind of popped off this question in my mind. And maybe it's just maybe even less than a question and more of just my opinion on this topic. So we've all had this heard the whole Brandon Sanderson thing that came up about the guy saying he sucks at writing and whatever, that hit piece. But also I'd watched a video several months ago, and where this guy said, they were just talking about different authors in general. And this guy, and if you've watched any of my videos, you know I am not Mr. Highbrow here, okay? I'm not going to read a book and try to tell you why the curtain was red when the author just said the curtain was red in passing. I'm not trying to deep dive on you like that. When I do my book reviews, I just tell you how it made me feel and why you might like it, what might excite you about a book, right? So this person, was kind of Mr. Highbrow, and which was fine. However you like to enjoy your books, but he just kind of threw Brandon Sanderson under the bus, and he kind of did it in passing too, which, even though at this point I had never read a Brandon Sanderson book, it annoyed me. He was just like, objectively, Brandon Sanderson's a bad writer, and then just kind of threw that in there. And then I had to, I was there in the live, and I just commented, even though I had never read Brandon Sanderson. I'm like, he is too popular and too well loved for him to be a bad writer. So that spurred me on to read the first Mistborn book. And that book, right as it stands right now, is probably around my 10th favorite book of all time. I just finished The Well of Ascension, which was another good book. And by the end of the month, I will finish Hero of Ages. So I'll have his first trilogy under my belt. And he is objectively a good writer. I don't know if this person just didn't like that his prose are really easy to understand. I don't know if he just wants if he thinks if the books aren't hard to read that they're not good. And then here comes another author. I did a whole poll about who's the most overrated author, and I did a weeks-long poll, a bunch of different polls, and Sarah J Maas won. So I said, challenge accepted, I'm going to read one of her books. Now, I tried to read her newest series, the first book in her newest series, The Crescent City, I believe it's called, and that was the first book I've ever DNF'd, so I'm like, maybe they're onto something. And then, 4 or 5 months passed, and I was like, you know what, maybe I should read her first book, the book that made her famous. So last month, I read A Throne of Glass, and that book was good. It wasn't great, it wasn't amazing, it wasn't legendary. Would I have read that book and thought, man, this book is going to make her sell millions of copies? No, I wouldn't have thought that. But here's the thing, I kind of read into, you know, how she marketed it and stuff, and her team had an amazing marketing strategy. And this is where I will say you can take a good book and make it a household name by marketing. I believe you can take an average book and make it a bestseller by marketing. Now, can you take a piece of crap book and make it sell a you know a New York Times bestseller? No, no. Anybody who tells you that a book that has sold 100,000 or more copies is a bad book, they're just being a hater, plain and simple. You know, that if a book sells that much, it's a good book. It might not be great, and that's another thing. People will tell you, "Oh, well, if you just write an amazing book, the cream will rise to the top, and it'll be, people will eventually love it." No, I guarantee you, there are some of the best books that have ever been written in the history of fantasy and sci-fi that are sitting on Amazon with 10 reviews, and maybe they sold 100 copies. Um, it's just the way it is. You know, if you can't get your book into the hands of people, then it doesn't matter how good the book is. And that is what got me to my next point. I believe it was Matt last month. There was a reviewer who reviewed about 6 or 7 books, and Dan Simmons was one of the books that he read, and then also my debut novel was one of the books that they had read, More Than a Vampire, and you know they gave the star ratings and all this, and my book was the only book that got 5 stars. They rated it their favorite book. They thought it was the best book that they've read that month, and that included a Dan Simmons book, which blew me away. I was so grateful. I was ecstatic. It made my whole week. And what that told me is, as a self-published author, is I just need to get my book out into more people's hands, because nobody is a wholly individual, custom snowflake. Everybody, if you have a taste, that means tens of thousands of people have a taste just like you. So that tells me that I just need to that I'm on the right track here with my writing. I just need to work on the marketing. I just need to get my book out to more people. Um, and so that also took me into the way some people view, really successful authors that aren't that aren't peak Stephen King or Stephen Erickson, or Tolkien. Sarah J. Maas, technically as a writer, she's not Tolkien. She's she's not peak Stephen King. But she's a good writer. And this is where I want to know, for you, do you look down on authors that sell a lot of books, but you don't feel that they are elite level wordsmiths? Do you actually look down? Are you mad at them? Because my whole view is like, don't hate the player, hate the game. Like, I'm glad that they're selling all these books. I'm not jealous of them. I'm glad they're doing it. Go make your money. You know, that just tells me, like, other people, we gotta work on our marketing out here. Um, but yeah, I don't think that you can have a bad book that sells hundreds of thousands of copies. It just, if you feel that way, you're probably just, either you're jealous or you're just a hater. Um, Let me know, how do you feel about certain people such as Brandon Sanderson, such as Sarah J. Maas, and some of these other writers that have made a lot of money that maybe technically aren't the peak level writers? Or do you think they are a peak level writer? And if you do, let me know why. Hit me in the comments. Make sure you like, subscribe, do all that good stuff. And remember, be more than human.